This year's off to a funny start. All the stuff that's going on. It's crazy. It's like a lot of the things that I used to get in trouble for making memes about on social media over recent years are starting to become like just common knowledge, you know. But which is fine. I don't mind taking arrows to the knee. The thing is now there's so many people talking about these subjects. It's like, you know, they can't arrow all our knees. They'll try. They don't have the manpower though. But like my friend over at Minutes of Horror, he posted. I saw this today. I'm like, wow, that's bold. I would never use the J word in any video because they come right for you. Imagine now, like you just if you can't even say the word. You usually can't either. I mean, there's a problem if you do. But these things, these tunnels they're finding, I imagine they've always been there. I don't know if this is part of a revealing, where people are just seeing things now that used to be obfuscated by Talmudic magic. Because you know, I mean, they work with all that stuff, you know, to cover up what they're doing. I mean, if this is getting mainstreamed to some degree, wait till they fucking find out the next part of all this. I mean, a lot of us know it, you know, but it's funny too because just I think it was like 3 videos ago or a few days ago, I did a video on the tunnels here that are under the sidewalk. Now again, like they could be benign. I'm walking up to one right now. It could be, I don't know, electrical, but I know there are people that they have tunnels that you can walk in down here because you can see them at different points. See, this is a entryway here to get down into the tunnels, and the tunnels run along the sidewalk. On Kalakaua, I used to be able to go to the corner and see through and to see down into the tunnels. But they covered it up. I'll have to get a picture of that where, you know, they put like a covering on the sidewalk so you could no longer see into them. I used to see guys walking down there. Maybe they're maintenance people. Maybe there's, you know, some reason for them. I think Fred was telling me, Fred from up north was telling me that they had something similar like in his neighborhood, or he'd seen them before or something. I think it was Fred. I mean, I don't know. It could be just benign, you know, bullshit that they have. I've just never seen anything like it before. And it's funny, like just a couple days later, or a couple days before, all this tunnel stuff started hitting X and YouTube, and not X, the Twitter thing. But also X, the board, the 4chan board, X. Yeah, I never thought of that. Wow, Twitter, they took our name, bros. Our name. Well, that's like the board I spend most of the time on 4chan. I check the poll catalog just to see news, because that's where the news usually is. But most of the time, if I'm going on there, which isn't often, like, I don't know, a couple times, 3, half a dozen, 20 times a day, I'll go on the X, you know, and just look real quick, just to check what's going on in the world you cannot see. There's a lot going on there too. I mean, it's they work in tandem, the physical realm and the ethereal astral plane, whatever you want to call it. What happens here has a reflect on there, and what happens there has a reflect on here. Sometimes through actual, like, in a very micro way. I was telling my buddy Craig when we were first encountering the demonic entities in Chinatown back in 2017, and I've had him on recently to talk about it briefly. There was at one point when all this madness was going on, when we first started encountering this stuff, he was being compelled by them to do certain things, and I'd watch it happen in real time, and he'd walk by, and I remember this guy, we got off the bus, and there was this guy at the corner. I'd never seen him before. And he looks over at us, he looks at me, and he's like, hey, thanks a lot for last night, like in a way like that, because the night before, we had this thing where I separated Craig, who whom they were after. It's a long story. But at any rate, Craig at one point just hands him money. And he's like, oh, I think this guy needs a few dollars. He gave him a few bucks. And we walked away, and he's like, why did I do that? I'm like, I don't know, but what it is when you give someone something here, what you're doing in the ethereal realm, in the ether, is you're handing him your energy. Especially when it comes to currency. Because currency can, electric words, you know, because we're electric, they like to get money from us and equity from us because, yes, they can make money on a computer out of thin air, but it doesn't have the same value as it has once it goes through our hands. It needs to go through our hands. That's why the banks would rather give you a bunch of money, loan you money to buy that house they know you can't afford. Because when they reclaim that house back, any money they make from that is now charged. That's charged currency because you put your time, energy, hard work into acquiring that money first. So they're dead. Like, these people are dead. They need the charge of life, which we have, the divinity, the spark of life. We have to hold their currency first, work for it, even do something with it, whatever. So then when they take it back, now it's charged. That's basically how that works. And if you think of banks, liquidity, all these kind of words, they're all electric words, electricity. That's just, that's how it is. So a lot of times what happens here has an effect on there. And as things here in this 3D get crazier, things in the world you can't see get crazier. And that, I think, may tie into what's going on with that mall situation there. The reason I think it's not your regular PSYOP is because of the response of the local law enforcement. Because whenever they pull these things, the cops are absolutely part of it. I mean, they're part of the whole program. A lot of the higher ups are Freemasons, you know, a lot of lower ones too. So they're part of the whole thing. Now the response to that fucking thing, it just seemed like they were getting on the horn saying, anybody that has a car, get down here. I didn't even know, like, there was a police force with that many cars. Like I said, it looks like fucking Braveheart or something. Like they digitally cut and pasted all these cars to put in there. And the way the eyewitness was describing it, who has now recanted his story much in the same fashion as the guy who saw the giant on the mountain. He recanted his story before he disappeared. You have to watch this guy that just recanted his story because he may fucking disappear too. The way he described it is kind of like they were moving through like portals. And that's how they do move. That's how those, what people think are alien spaceships. You know, that's how they move using spun mercury. So maybe there's some kind of way these guys do it as well, using the same methodology, just on a personal, on a figure level, on a body level. The way they were moving, where they would kind of, from what he was describing, they would go after a person, they'd sort of pick their target, I guess, in their mind, and then when they head toward them, instead of just moving toward them, they would vanish and then reappear closer to them. I haven't heard of any injuries, though. I haven't heard of these things catching up to anybody. I haven't heard any stories. Stories are still coming out. I'm sure there's some people that saw some stuff that might be afraid to say anything, and perhaps we'll get some more stories as it goes on. But I think if you had a nutsack, the thing to do would be to run right out one of these things and see if you just went right through it, which I think is exactly what would happen. I don't think they can materialize fully here. If it is indeed something like Nephilim spirits, forgotten ones, whatever the fuck it is, whatever you want to call them, I think we're coming into a time where they're going to be able to materialize here. In fact, I just saw a video from Understanding Conspiracy about that. I talked about the Nephilim and if they can materialize here, and his take was no, they can't. And I'm with them on that, because for the most part, these things, the reason they possess people is because they want to experience something in the body which they no longer have anymore. But things are changing then, like the rules are changing. The laws of whatever spiritual physics are in place here have been falling apart. And that's why we're able to see a lot of the stuff we're seeing now. Things that were always there. You know, that's what my theory about the Mandela effect, how all these changes we're seeing were always happening. You know, we just didn't realize it because maybe it was a combination of some kind of update we get, like some software update that acclimates us to the changes, which in my view would happen when you were sleeping. Sleep is a nut I've been trying to crack. The couple of years I've been on here, I have a lot of sleep experiments. And in the early days when I used to do, I used to always try to defeat sleep or figure it out. I made some headway in the understanding what happens there. I know for a fact, well, I shouldn't say for a fact, for me it's a fact, that you leave the body when you're sleeping. Now, it's something you'll notice too, when you're almost asleep, right? You'll get itchy. Some people may know what I'm talking about, some might not, but I'll get itchy, like an itch here and there. What that is, in my opinion, is it's checking to see how awake you still are. Because if you go to scratch, or you go to take care of that itch, it means you're still too awake for them to get started on the shit they have to do. It's a test to see how out of your body you are. Because I don't think you have to be completely out of your body for them to begin the process of what I believe is a resetting of the screen or a refixing of your tether here to this world, so that you stay on the same frequency, so you don't start wandering away. You eventually come out of the body completely, because you can't be in the body when they do whatever they have to do to tie you to this place in a more secure way. Or at least that's what I think is happening. Again, I mean, it's all speculative. There's not a lot of study on this stuff, because who can study it? You know, you're not really allowed to study it. Like any scientist, it has to follow a certain thing. They have that paper on their wall, that degree or whatever, that says they're in the gang. They have to do what that paper says. If they don't, they lose the paper. If they lose the paper, they lose their money and their job and their livelihood. So they have to toe the line. They're not going to look into it. It lands to schizos like myself. God help us all. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.